This is the Gambling Gauchos.
Welcome into the Gambling Gauchos. I'm Rob Roy's Kyle Jacobson, the maker of lists, sitting here in the Cardinals Sports Center studio, mycardinalsports.com. You can gear up for the summer, gear up for the Matadors, gear up for whatever you're doing, and you can do it cheaply at the Cardinals Sports Center Summer Sidewalk Sale, July 7th through 10th. It's like Christmas in July, Kyle. I never miss it. 1 year, I thought it went, like if it was to the 17th, I thought it went to the 18th. And I showed up and the parking lot was empty and I was devastated. I will not do that again. I'm going to go get some shoes and I'm going to go on day one this year and try to get some hats. I always usually go toward the end. I'm going to go day one, brave the crowds.
Can I go with you?
Yeah, let's do it.
You want to carpool?
I mean, sure. We'd have to meet somewhere.
You kind of hesitated there.
Well, yeah, do you want me to pick you up?
Well, Cardinals is in between our two dwellings,
right,
so that wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
But
figure we could meet there.
But it does make sense for us to carpool out to Olton for Rejino, which we're doing next weekend.
Absolutely.
And we invite all of Gaucho Nation, if we want to make like a caravan out to Olton, or even if you're not coming,
be awesome.
Even if you're not coming from Lubbock, just meet us there. We'll just say like noon at Rejino. Show up if you can.
We will. Yeah, let's do that.
Let's promote that on social media.
Do you want to leave from? I don't want to leave from one of our houses. I don't want Gaucho Nation to know where we live. Let's leave from the radio station. Nothing against the Gaucho Nation. We could all meet at the radio station and go out there. Let's meet at 11. Leave.
Or Cardinals.
Or we can meet at Cardinals at 11.
Yeah, let's do that. Cardinals at 11 a.m. on Saturday. Saturday the 25th. Is that what it is?
Yep.
And we'll go out to Olton and enjoy top 50 barbecue in the state of Texas out at Rejino.
Boom.
Boom. Lock it in.
Lock it in. Boom.
And we just got 2 ad reads done before we even got into any content. So,
speaking of content, you have been hammering some lists, and I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. Do you want to go? You want to give some rationale for a couple of them, or
yeah?
Do you want to sneak peek the next one you're doing? Because I love it.
I think I will. I've got to look. So I've been stockpiling these, so I have to kind of look on the fly here and see what's next. So the lists I did this week: best Big 12 baseball stadiums, and then
and I thought the just on we don't have to talk about that one much. Well, we're about to talk about it more.
Yeah.
I would have put Texas Tech like ahead of maybe like Oklahoma, but I understand why you had that one, how you had it, and why the top two were the top two.
So after considering some feedback, I think it's fair to say that 4 through 7 on that list are pretty fluid.
Yes.
And so I probably undersold West Virginia, who I think I had 6th. They probably should have been 4th. But Rob, as you know, from talking to our friend Big Game Boomer, there's a bit of an art and a science to this. Yes. And you have to have 1 or 2 that are at least a little bit out of place to spark a conversation. Like if I ranked the top 10 best college football coaches right now and I put Nick Saban at number 3, that's going to call. Now, it can't be so trollish that like nobody.
Yeah, it's going to chat some behind.
Yeah. But you got to put like, I don't know. You have to spark a little bit of controversy.
And you do like Lane Kiffin number 1.
Right. So I wanted to spark a bit of a conversation about some updates that are needed at Dan Law Field at Rip Griffin Park.
And you did.
So I probably ranked them too low, but that was a little bit intense. The other thing is, when I make these lists, Rob, I'm going to be accused of being a homer on some of them.
Yes.
And I'm
not
doing that.
Which you were on the first one you put out.
Well, hang on. Because I am trying to be objective. Because also
I just that you were accused, not that you were.
Yeah. Because I do want to be objective, because these lists aren't going to be entertaining if Texas Tech is number 1 all the time.
Yeah. And
so I undersold them on this list to make up for later when I have them a little higher than they should be to troll some people. But yeah, so before the Big 12 baseball stadiums, which we'll get into, I did the top 10 best rivalries in the Big 12. And honest to goodness, I was not trying to troll everybody into oblivion when I put Farmageddon number one. Like, to me, that is number one in some ways. Is it the
on
most
social media for sure? Which that's where we are. It's
Is it
the
the-
number one Twitter rivalry.
is it the most nationally prominent or well known? Is it the most important with the most on the line? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But those two schools have played each other for a long time. I mean, I guess Kansas State's primary rival is Kansas, but they're so bad at football that's not an entertaining series.
Right.
And so, yeah, again, I was poking the bear a little bit by not putting the Red River Shootout at number one. But the Farmageddon hate I thought was a little bit, and it was funny I was actually laughing, at my desk reading some of the responses. The people that are so sure that I'm an idiot for putting Farmageddon number one, but they're not smart enough to realize that I was trolling a little bit there.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was fun.
I'm ready for the most sensitive Twitter fan bases to put OU number one because they are soft.
Yeah.
My God, they are so soft. And I don't know if Sooners listen to this podcast, but good grief.
And honestly,
They're
on this
friends.
list, at number 7, I had Kansas versus Texas, and then in the fine print it says football only.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be the trolling piece on here that was supposed to get people to bite. And like a few people noticed that, but
Nobody
there was way
batted an
more
eye.
comments about the Red River Shootout than there was the Kansas versus Texas being a football only rivalry.
And I thought it was funny the amount of Tech fans even that were like, "No, man, you missed this one. It's the Red River rivalry." Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and then one guy was like, "It shuts down an entire city." No, it doesn't, you moron. The state fair does.
Yeah. It's hard to shut down a city
It
like
shuts
Dallas.
down a whole city, man. No, it doesn't. They have the Olympics there, you Nimrod.
That was the other. So
The
in the
Red River
thread,
Shootout doesn't. shut
again,
down a city.
this is an art that we learned from Big Game Boomer. Is after you do the list, you make a thread sort of justifying your positions.
Yes.
And I knew this was going to get some people to bite, but I said they should play home and home instead of at the Cotton Bowl every year.
Wonderful job.
I mean, hook, line, and sinker. They're like, "You're an idiot. That's tradition. It's one of the best games ever." And I said, well, why should OU and Texas get what should be their hardest game on the schedule at a neutral site every year when everybody else has to go to Norman? Everybody else has to go to Austin.
And Tech fans always hated the AT&T Stadium game.
Yeah, I think you should play
With
conference
Baylor.
games home and home. And I get that it's tradition.
Yes.
My other favorite thing is people are like, "Have you ever been to that game?" Yeah, twice. And I still think they should play home and home. So what now?
Were you wearing burn orange?
Twas.
People forget you grew up at the Longhorn, man.
I was born and raised in the People's Republic of Austin. My best friend in kindergarten, his mom was like a lifelong season ticket holder. And so they started inviting me to games and I went. And it's part of my past. I can't hide from the past.
Got out as fast as you could, man. That's all right.
It's been a long time though.
So I liked the rivalries one. I liked the baseball stadium one. If going off the baseball stadium one.
Well, hang on. I have a quick follow-up
right.
on the rivalries.
Okay.
So Tech made the list 4 times.
Yeah, people were upset about that.
That was a bit excessive, but most of our followers are Tech fans, so you want to give them some appeal.
Yeah.
So in the order of the 4 that I listed, it's Texas, and then Oklahoma State, then Baylor, then TCU. Of those 4 in-conference rivalries right now, how would you stack those up? Or do you think I have it right?
Say yours again.
Texas, Oklahoma State, Baylor, TCU.
Yes, because of football and every other sport. Because I think baseball, I don't know. A lot of people love to hate Baylor, but I just am kind of indifferent on them. I'm much more in tune with the TCU rivalry.
Okay.
And I think that, especially with Sonny Dykes there now, it's like there's some potential at TCU to really kick off football as well.
And that's another thing is the rivalries change over time and go by sport.
Right.
Like for a while.
Well, and I think in all 3 sports, Texas is real important. So I would put Texas number 1.
But like
even though they call it not a rivalry.
The basketball rivalry over the last year has kind of like kicked that up another notch or 2.
Well, in the last 5 years, because even when Beard was here, it was
the Shaka had some good teams.
And you were killing them.
So I put Baylor just slightly above TCU only because you've played them more throughout your history. You played them
Yeah,
more than any opponent, and you didn't lose them when the Southwest Conference broke up. Like you didn't play TCU every year for a while, and so I think those two are really close, probably interchangeable based on like maybe which fan base you grew up disliking more or something. But
certainly. And I guess in my prime Texas Tech fandom years, like my formative ones, Baylor just sucks so bad
right, yeah,
at
same here.
football, and they didn't matter. Like they
Yeah,
just did not matter, and they've been better than Texas Tech in the last decade. But
yeah,
I don't know. It's just like you've never been good at the same time as Baylor,
yeah.
so
And I was looking at the all-time
you've never really
series.
had an important series with them.
Yeah, I was looking at that on the all-time series. Like when Tech was pretty good under Dykes and Leach for 20 years, Baylor was horrible. And
Right.
then Tech enters its worst decade in program history as soon as Baylor takes off under Briles, Rule, Aranda. And even going back, like in the 70s, it was real lopsided.
Right.
Um, Tech sucked in the 80s under Jerry Moore, so it was lopsided. So, like, yeah, it's never been, I feel like one has been good, one has been bad for the entire series for the most
Yeah.
part. So, anyway,
Not to say there hasn't been good games, but
sure. Yeah.
it's just, I mean, and really in the last 3 or 4 years, you've had the best games in a long time with Baylor and Texas Tech.
Yeah. And there were some funny replies to that thread about like the biggest rivalry in the Big 12 is Texas versus being back or Texas
Yeah.
versus living up to preseason expectations. And
Yeah.
so those are funny. Okay, you want to go to Big 12 baseball stadiums?
Well, yeah. Do you just want to go straight to the Dan Law Field?
Sure.
Because I don't
think,
know that I want to. I mean, O'Brate is the gold standard right now.
yeah, you
in
can't argue
Stillwater.
that one. Yeah.
And then Dish Falk, they've just been so good so long at Dish Falk, and it holds like the most.
Yeah.
So it's big and it has the records, and
I
it's kind of
haven't been to all of these stadiums.
yeah. That's another thing.
I'm kind of going off what I see on TV, and sometimes that can be a little bit deceptive. But yeah, I think Tech fans have agreed for many years now that as good as that program has performed, that they need facilities on par with the Jones and the indoor practice facility for football, the Womble and the USA for basketball, the new indoor track that the track and field program got. And it's behind. And look, hey, it's not my check to write. And so I can sit here and say we should, but I get that, I can't really write a check for other people.
Right.
But I think everybody in the fan base and probably the administration recognizes that that's a need. And
Obviously, they're pouring $12 million into a clubhouse.
mm-hmm.
That honestly, how they're building it wouldn't need to be messed with if they tore Danlaw down and rebuilt across the street.
And I think
stay there across the street.
that's the other. They're landlocked right now by some roads, so you can either move the roads and renovate, or just move the stadium. And I think people want it to stay on campus, so you don't have a ton of options there. But yeah, you have that huge green space now where the Coliseum was, and I thought that they were going to turn that into like an Olympic Village, athlete dorms, but
Right.
maybe that's on pause. And why couldn't you just do that where Dan Law is? Just flip those two or something.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, that never materialized.
Right.
If you could do 3 things to improve Danlaw where it is, what would you do?
Did I lose you?
No, I'm here.
Okay. Sorry, my computer just glitched. Yeah. Can you hear me?
I said, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Did you hear my question?
Yeah. So you asked this, you did the pulse of the people on Twitter.
Yeah.
And I responded with more shade because as often as you've been playing in June and even in May at the end of the regular season, it's brutal if you're not in that section right behind home plate. And
yeah, just finish the awnings.
Yeah.
I mean, that's step one.
I think so. I would say replace some of those metal bleachers with more seat backs because again, you've got kind of like the proud in the middle there that have comfy seats, and everybody else is
right
grinding it out on the bleachers. So that would be a nice facelift. You don't have to do the whole thing seat backs, but just start working your way down toward the foul poles with more seat backs if that's in the budget. And then this is the big one. Where's the student section right now at Danlaw Field?
I guess down third baseline.
Yeah, maybe. Like that's where the
Yeah.
saddle tramps are, but the students, they just go to general
There's
admission.
there's not really a student section.
Student section should be on a berm in the left field outfield, right by the opposing bullpen. And they should have food trucks, a beer garden.
In left field.
Yeah. You just build a mound out there and make room for 500 people to stand up out there, and that's the student section.
See, if I was going to do a student section, I would put bleachers instead of a berm.
Maybe. I don't know. I
You
think the
get
berm is fun,
rowdy.
though.
Certainly is, but I don't know that. I mean, that seems like you're asking for trouble.
A little bit. I'm not asking for too much trouble.
Yeah, well, I just certainly bleachers would maybe at least keep them in one spot.
Think about what has contributed to our basketball home court advantage being so great. You have the Raider Riot right behind the opponent's bench and backboard. Let's do it in baseball.
Oh, for sure. And I think you can do that with bleachers and not a berm.
And that increases the seating either way, whether bleachers or berm, increases the seating behind home plate because you just moved 500 students from over there to the outfield.
Yes.
So instead of needing to build more in the main concourse, you just move some folks to the outfield and do it that way.
If you completed the bleachers all the way down right field in that dead space and then put the awning all the way down, a Danlaw field would be immediately improved.
Yeah.
And you probably had 1,000 seats.
I saw one of your takes was make the infield grass and dirt.
Yes.
And then turf in the outfield. Explain that.
Well, Omaha's dirt, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have trouble at TCU. You had trouble in Grand Canyon this year playing on grass. If it's too expensive to keep grass alive in Lubbock, Texas, which I guess is why they do all turf, I guess.
Yeah.
It certainly eliminates the need to water the dirt because you do have to water dirt in baseball. But yeah, I mean, hire a grounds crew and keep the dirt and play on grass and dirt in the infield all year so you're not confused when you get to Omaha.
I mean, can we not maintain an 800 square foot patch of grass?
I believe in the few of the proud that would have to do that in Lubbock, Texas. Yes.
Yeah. Well, and I get what they're saying. It's not going to look good in February, but there's large grass areas at Urbanovsky, at Memorial Circle on campus that look good, other than the dead of winter when it turns yellow. But I'm kind of with you on that. I think that's a good idea because I don't really care turf versus grass aesthetically. I'm with you that it will help you play on those grass and dirt infields in the postseason. So I'd be for that. It sounded like others just wanted the turf for the maintenance aspect, but I'd be cool with the grass infield.
But I guess the reason they do it all turf is because you wear different cleats. Turf versus dirt versus grass.
Yeah.
You probably tear up the turf in your metal spikes, which you have to wear on the dirt. But fine, do it all grass and dirt. Like, it can be done.
Yeah.
At the very least, dirt on the infield.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to turf the whole thing, dirt on the infield.
Turf and dirt.
Dirt mound.
Well, and how are you going to throw dirt at the opposing cheerleaders if it's all artificial turf? So
exactly.
And of course, that's a tradition at Texas Tech.
Right.
So if there is a berm in the outfield for the student section,
yeah,
I want it to be rowdy. If it gets a little too rowdy, we know who the students can call. Our friends over at Barnett, Howard, and Williams, a law firm started by 3 Texas Tech grads. They're based in Fort Worth, but they handle cases all across Texas. So I guess also if students were road raiders and went to TCU and threw dirt at the cheerleaders, Barnett, Howard, and Williams could handle that one as well. They're one of the only law firms in Texas that is certified for Title IX student representation. They've defended students, including scholarship athletes, in Title IX litigation at all of the major universities in Texas. They also handle catastrophic injury cases across the state. And for listeners in DFW, they handle criminal defense and family law matters. They hope you never need them because that means that you're allegedly maybe in a bit of trouble, but they are here for you if you do. You can find out more about Barnett, Howard, and Williams at bhwlawfirm.com.
.com.
Maybe they can sponsor the student section berm out there.
That would be fun.
It's like one of those things, when they give you the wristband at the bar and it's got the bail bond number on there, they scan your student ID and say something goes down on the berm, you call Barnett, Howard, and Williams.
When we have tailgates in the future, we need to do that.
Yeah. Here's who to call. We're not liable.
When we throw our ragers.
Yeah. Good deal. Switching gears a little bit.
Yeah.
Our beloved
switching gears.
Beloved Lubbock Matadors.
Yeah, 5-0 against that stinking greasy Austin team.
5-0 and a hat trick.
Pablo.
We tried to line up a player interview last week, and since they were playing on Thursday instead of Saturday, it didn't quite work out. But maybe Pablo is available post hat trick if he doesn't have too many other media inquiries. Maybe he can join us on the Gambling Gauchos. Saw a cool moment. Apparently, his family was here all the way from Spain
flew in from Spain,
watch that game. So, looks like Matadors are like middle of the table right now in the Lone Star Conference.
Yes, but I think they play 3 different teams across 5 games to finish the year.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe all 3 of them are ahead of them on the standings.
So we got an opportunity.
Plenty of room. You play Denton twice. You play 3 home games, I think, to finish the season 2 this week. So Thursday, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday. Yeah, the 22nd and the 25th. If you're listening to this week.
Yeah.
And I've got some tickets if you want to DM us.
Yeah. We do a little ticket giveaway.
Just DM us with how many you want if you're in Lubbock. We'll figure out a way to get it to you.
Yeah. What else were we going to talk about? Dan Lawfield. Oh, so this was another kind of a list. Dave Campbell's Texas Football started kind of a series of tweets on like, these are the 3 teams that X team should play every year.
Yes.
And so I made
this is a high school list that they were doing, or they were doing a college list?
Yeah, no, I saw one for Tech from them.
Gotcha.
And theirs for Tech was Texas, Oklahoma State, and TCU, I believe.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I made my own version and said that, assuming that through some format of divisions, pods, or protected rivalries, that you would play Oklahoma State, Baylor, and TCU every year. My next 3 games that I would like to see Tech play every year are Texas out of conference, BYU as sort of like a protected in-conference opponent now that they're joining the Big 12. And third one is Arizona, because you played them, I think, 21 times, 23 times in the border conference era. And
yes,
as far as Power 5 schools near you that aren't in the state of Texas, they're one of your actual closer regional opponents. And so I would like to see a bit of a border conference rivalry for fans of Tech that live in New Mexico, Arizona, something like that. I think there would be some appeal there. I got some pushback on like, oh, you're trying to kill our strength of schedule. Like, okay, well, I guess I should have answered Alabama, Ohio State, and Clemson every year, but I was trying to keep it like somewhat realistic. In fact, very realistic, I thought my list was. If I could choose any 3 teams, give me like UCLA, Notre Dame, and
who's your third team?
Arizona, BYU, and Texas.
BYU. See, and I know you love BYU. I know you do. The eyeballs, the national intrigue. I just don't care to do that as much as you do. I would much rather play Arkansas every year. And is this just football?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Arkansas would be on my 3. I like your Arizona idea. If it was Arizona or Arizona State every year and you got to work both of them in, I would be even more down.
So
if it was like Arizona, Arizona State, home and away, I would be so down.
So I would be cool with that as well. And in fact, I want Arizona and Arizona State to just join the Big 12.
Yes, I've wanted that for a while.
But the reason I didn't list Arizona State is even though you're in the same conference with them for 30 years, you did not play them. And I don't know why. I asked Don Williams. He's the only guy I can think of who would know the answer to that question. And he
Yeah.
didn't know either. So in Arkansas, to your point, a lot of folks who went to Tech in the 80s, 90s, or I guess mostly the 80s because they left in 91, but they remember playing Arkansas every year and they had a good program. They were kind of right up there with like A&M. So I get it. And what I'm going for with the Arizona response is the same thing as what you're going for with the Arkansas response, just from an earlier era, which I get it. Fewer people remember, fewer people were around for. Arkansas is a rung or two above Arizona right now for sure.
Yeah.
So I'd be cool with Arkansas. I wouldn't have a problem with that at all.
And am I wrong to want just a 5-year break from Texas? I just want a little break. Like I would be down to play them in Arlington at the SEC Big 12 Challenge or whatever. I would be so down to continue that in basketball, but I just want a little break in football. I do.
I can sympathize with that. And similar to how you would want to play Arizona State, I'd be fine if you rotated A&M and UT like on a 2-year basis.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Like you go home and home with UT and then home and home with A&M. I'd be totally cool with that. Instead of doing just one of those two schools, it'd probably be hard for you to play both of them every year, in a format that we think is going to exist in the near future.
Yeah,
but
especially if you're going to keep 9 conference games.
Yeah.
And only 3 non-con.
Right. Now, if you were both at 8 conference games in the new SEC and in the new Big 12, and if the TV partners really wanted to see that, then maybe that makes more sense. But
certainly,
I'd be cool with the rotation.
Certainly, Texas or Arkansas or A&M instead of Murray State, would certainly garner you more money.
And to that point, give me literally any Power 5 opponent in the country over an FCS. Like,
give me literally any other college in Texas.
Yeah.
Like, give me SFA, give me Texas State, give me
UTEP,
give me UTSA instead of Murray State and Montana State and Florida International.
There's no rivalry with North Carolina State. Like, that's a completely random school. But that's one of the biggest non-conference games we've played in a long, long time,
Well, and Oregon's on the schedule.
Yeah.
You caught Arizona at a bad time, but they beat you. Both those Arizona State games were great.
Yeah.
And nationally recognized. So
give me any of that.
Those games. Oregon's coming.
Yeah.
You have a Mississippi State in 8 more years. Are they 29 and 30 maybe?
Yeah. Just any game in that vein, like even if it's not a rivalry, give me Nebraska, give me Michigan State. Like, I mean, the most random school you can think of. Let's play some Power 5 opponents in the non-con, especially now that the new Big 12 is going to be even kind of more Texas centric. I think with Houston being added, I guess they're kind of just replacing Texas, but like I want us to branch out to like a broader region a little bit. So,
do you know what I wish they would do?
What's that?
And this would be difficult. Just nuke all scheduled games post 25. Just say all of those games are not scheduled anymore across the entire NCAA. Just say those are dead. You cannot schedule outside of 3 years in football because it is ridiculous to have a 10-year window in college football. They schedule college basketball games 6 months out.
Well, and
they college baseball. They schedule them 6 months out. Why do we need 10 years to figure out a football schedule?
You don't. And for the longest time, they just straight up lied to us. And you're like, hey, can we play A&M in 2027? Oh, well, these things take a lot of time to sort out. You can't just add somebody to the 2027 schedule. We saw it during COVID.
Ruined the lie. Yep.
They called you up on Sunday and said, you want to play in 6 days? Yeah, sure. So don't give me that.
Yeah.
I do not. They make it act like it's as hard as landing on the moon or something to schedule a non-conference game.
Well, they actually schedule games. So,
I mean, I think it's ridiculous. I think that was exposed during COVID, and now we're right back to like, oh, well.
Yes.
You already booked for 2034. It's stupid.
It's stupid. You should be able to schedule 2 years out, get a home and home. If you need to have a gap year because you have some stuff scheduled, then fine. Schedule a home gap home or home gap away.
Yeah.
Or if you need to do a home away, if it's a smaller program.
Right.
I know some schools do, then go 3 years out. But there is no reason why Mississippi State should be looming. That game was scheduled 3 years ago, and it's not for another 8 years. It's ridiculous.
The problem is these schools, when they make these agreements, sign a contract, and so there'd be a payout or a buyout involved. And I guess
if you're just splitting with the NCAA, which we think is going to happen, then it just all dies. Like the seventh year of what is it, Jerusalem, the Jubilee.
Okay.
When all debts were forgiven every 7 years.
Okay.
Was that the Jubilee?
I don't know.
Some Bible nerd can correct me.
But if one of these programs was trying to cancel one of these games and they needed some money that they didn't have already, they could call our friends over at Diversified Lenders, diversifiedlenders.com. I don't exactly know if that's the kind of thing that Diversified Lenders would give some cash out for, but they will help you get the business, or help your business get the cash it needs to operate. They offer a variety of factoring, invoice purchasing, equipment finance and leasing, asset-based lending, government finance and leasing. Diversifiedlenders.com. If you need to cancel a non-conference game in 2027.
Yeah, according to the book of Leviticus, Hebrew slaves and prisoners would be free, debts would be forgiven, and the mercies of God would be particularly manifest. The Jubilee, or Chilfil in Yiddish, is the year at the end of 7 cycles of Shemitah. And according to biblical regulations, it had an impact on the land of Israel.
Okay. Maybe that's what we need, is a college football Jubilee.
Jubilee, yeah. Is that so? 7 years, would that be like? We probably just missed it in 21, so we got to wait till 28 now for the year of Jubilee.
That might time up okay, though, because it'll be like 24, 25 when all the alignment stuff shakes out.
Yeah. Or if you start in year 0, would that make 6 the 7th year?
I don't know, Rob. I thought you were the numbers guy.
No, I'm the fat guy. You're the nerd. So I was asking you.
Hey, Rob, as you know, we launched a Patreon.
We did.
And I think we have a couple irons in the fire as far as upcoming interviews.
Yeah, if a certain swagged out basketball player would get back to us on his DMs.
I think we also have a Dallas Cowboys kicker on the line, but he's busy making the team.
Well, they've got camp.
Right.
Which we understand.
But we do have interviews up with Fardaz Amack, the incoming big man, who is, I think, going to be preseason all world and hopefully set the world on fire while he's here. Thought it was interesting to hear his perspective on the transfer portal. Talks really highly of Mark Adams. We interviewed former Letterman Will Culpepper. He's kind of working to get other Lettermen connected with the Matador Club. And then we talked to Cody Campbell, who, I don't know if you saw today, Rob, just raised $1.7 billion, I believe, for a new venture. So he and John Sellers, both Red Raiders, doing a fantastic job in the business world. And we got to catch up with him about his donation for Cody Campbell Field and the South End Zone and his ideas for the Matador Club moving forward. It's a pretty interesting interview.
Yeah, he's a busy dude.
He is.
And he took, 30 minutes out for us, so that was nice.
Yeah, so the Patreon interviews are ad-free. They're a little quicker than when you and I just start talking about musicals and Westerns for an hour and 45 minutes. But here's a clip from our interview with Cody Campbell. You can subscribe on Patreon, $5 a month, patreon.com/gamblinggauchos. Give this a listen and then consider subscribing.
We've been working really hard at it. NIL is something that, has become increasingly important in the college athletics space, as you guys know. Some schools are doing it really well and some schools are not really doing it at all. So there's a pretty broad spectrum. We're all hearing a lot about the ones that are allegedly doing the big stuff. You know, a couple things I think it's important for people to understand is that all of this came about, the NIL thing came about because of some court decisions that occurred and then some specific law changes. So California was the first state to legalize players being able to be paid for their name, image, and likeness. And then other states followed suit, including Texas. And so last July, the state of Texas passed a law that, players could, enter into these private contracts. And there were requirements with them. The first requirement was that the school can't be involved with it at all. The universities cannot be involved. They have to be, deals directly with independent entities of the school. NIL cannot be used to induce recruits. It cannot be used in recruiting. Now, we all know that rule has been, pressed pretty hard by some places. And then the third thing is that there has to be an exchange of value. So the player can't just get paid for doing nothing. He has to actually go out and do some kind of work in exchange for the value that he's receiving. And so John and I were talking a lot about this, and there was some discussion about some collectives. And so a couple of schools were talking about them. And what we thought we could do is that we could put something together that is professionally run, that is run like a business. And we want it to be sustainable for the long term. But as much as anything, we want to make sure that we're following the rules. So making it sustainable for the long term to me means that if you're paying these guys, like individual recruits or whatever, new guys on campus that have never played a down, and you're giving them big deals, that's not great for your team. What do you pay the guy that's been there for 4 years working his tail off, who, is a better player now than the guy that's just walking in there? And then also, we need it to be, from a sustainability standpoint, we need to broaden the base of donors. It doesn't need to just be John and me, or it doesn't need to be just me, John, and me, and 3 or 4 other people. The strength that Texas Tech has is that we have this massive, passionate alumni base. There's 300,000 of us. And if we can get everybody to do what they can, whether it's, $100 or 100,000, we can be really powerful in this space. And so that's what we decided to do. So we set it up like a business. We formed a Texas nonprofit corporation. We filed for all the tax exemption status with the IRS. We did everything like we would do, if we were setting up a business for our own, commercial purposes. We have the back office set up right way. We hired a marketing firm to help us with website and social media and all that kinds of thing, and started raising money. And so, it's gone extremely well, I would say, from a fundraising standpoint, in that, we've had some great big donors step up and make some big contributions. Where we still have to get going is in the smaller dollar donations, the recurring deal, where people give us, whatever they can give per month, $10, $100, whatever it is a month. If we can really get that going again, that produces the sustainability. What I'm hoping is that'll come more as people see us actually. We're going to have a contract with every single men's basketball player, men's football, and baseball. All of them are going to have contracts. People are going to see that happening. They're going to see the guys getting money. And so they're going to see the impact that it has, how it helps us to retain players on our roster, it keeps guys happy. And honestly, recruits are going to hear about what we're doing, that every guy on the team is getting a nice check every month. And that's going to really help. That's going to really help with recruiting. So I'm excited about it. I think it's a really good, solid, long-term strategy that we have. And again, it's being professionally run. We just got our tax exempt status approved by the IRS. So all the contributions you make to the Matador Club are tax deductible. Anyway, I'm extremely happy and excited about it. I think we're going to start signing the contracts probably late July, before the guys leave to a little break before camp. And then, we'll just kind of go from there.
That was Cody Campbell on the Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/GambleGauchos. It's also pinned, I believe, on our Twitter profile.
Oh, and if you've seen a few profile pictures on Texas Tech Twitter that say, I support the Matador Club, those are our Patreon subscribers, because a portion of all proceeds that we raise through the Patreon channel, we give back to the Matador Club. So that goes directly to Texas Tech student athletes. So your $5 a month, portion of that will always go right back to Texas Tech athletics in the form of the Matador Club and the NIL stuff that they're working on. And we'd be happy to give you that same profile picture badge for Twitter, Facebook, wherever you want to use that. But you must be a subscriber to the Patreon. Micah Dallas.
Shoving against the Longhorns. It's about time he pitched well in Omaha, by the way.
Rob. So I think we briefly talked about Micah Dallas, especially during like the Kevin McCullough stuff. And it was like, do you root for these guys? Do you root for them at certain schools, but not in conference? And
I like Micah Dallas. I liked him while he was here. He's one of my favorite pitchers. I liked how he carried himself. I liked his attitude. And I always liked his stuff, right? On the mound. Did I enjoy that he went to the Aggies? No, I didn't.
Yeah.
But you like seeing him make Texas go 2-2.
Yeah. I was pretty indifferent toward Micah Dallas going to A&M. Again, like probably one of the last schools I would want him to wind up at.
Right.
I wasn't rooting for him there per se, because I don't root for really anybody at that university.
No.
But like you said, if there was one purpose for him to fulfill at A&M,
right,
it was sending Texas home winless in Omaha. Look, if you go to Omaha, that's a great season. You hang a banner for that. Texas had a bit of a joke of a path to get there. I know they went to Greenville for the Super, or Greensboro. Greenville or Greensboro?
Greenville. It's really Greenville. Yeah.
But they finished the postseason Super regional Omaha with 0 wins against the Power 5. Like, congrats on winning your regional against Air Force and La Tech. And then you got an American Athletic Conference opponent in the Super in their house, which again, not easy to do. Probably shouldn't have won that Super, and then they go to Omaha, play 2 real teams, and get dusted. So
get dusted.
Hate to see that.
What's the right word? Qualify. That's not the right word.
Validate.
Does it validate Texas Tech season a little bit that the 2 teams are playing right now that knocked Texas Tech out? Like, they were just better than you. Oklahoma at the end of the year just better than Texas Tech. Notre Dame just better than Texas Tech. It's not that you failed, right? You just ran into 2 better teams.
Yeah, I think so to an extent. I mean, Notre Dame was beatable, right? You lost to them by 1 run both times.
Right, so, which is even more frustrating, I think. But
yeah, so
the fact that they went and beat Texas, I think, doesn't help.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't even really say it. I don't even think validates the word I'm looking for, but
that part doesn't go away
similar.
That you lost by 1 run both times.
Right.
But I think it's easy to just give all the attention to Stanford, Oregon State, Tennessee at the very top and think like, oh, everybody else below that is beatable. And Notre Dame was beatable. And maybe you beat them and then you go to the Super and Tennessee just kills you. Who knows? But yeah, I think you also, like we said this, we're not afraid of anybody. We respect everybody, but line up and let's play. And if you beat us, we'll tip our cap and move on. And that's what OU did to you. They're the better team, and Notre Dame is probably the better team. They were a beatable team, but they beat you twice on a neutral site, and then they beat Tennessee and Knoxville. So I think, yeah, you just say like to me, it stings more that year that we lost 2 in a row to Sam Houston and didn't get out of the regional.
Yes.
Versus a year like this, or like in Omaha when you go 1-2 or 2-2, and you say, hey, we got all the way here. We're playing the very elite teams in the country, and sometimes you lose 2 games before you can win 3 or 4. It happens.
Yeah, and sometimes you get there and Michigan hammers Micah Dallas.
Yeah, because I think we, at the end of the regular season, we were all like, Oklahoma State is the best team in the Big 12. And you go to Stillwater and sweep them and you're on cloud 9, and we're still thinking of OU as like the 4th best team in the conference.
Right.
But zooming out, you look at what OU did at the end of the year, and then we didn't know this at the time, but then what they did in the Big 12 tournament, what they did in the regional, the super regional, and you go, okay, like, that's not outlandish that they beat you 2 out of 3 in Lubbock. Like, you wish you had won 1 more of those because you'd have a shared Big 12 title, but
Yeah,
There's also no shame in losing that series.
No. Heading into the Big 12 tournament, I power ranked the Big 12 as Texas, Oklahoma State, TCU, and then I put Oklahoma and Texas Tech right there together. Obviously, I would even put TCU further down now. And really, it would be Oklahoma at the top, Texas, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, TCU. I think that's how the Big 12 really shook out this year. I think I'm not saying that TCU is frauds. I think they earned their Big 12 title, but
frauds.
Yeah.
We got some heat on the Red Raider sports message board.
You and I?
Yeah. Unfairly, I thought. So you'll remember before the regional, I cited a pitching statistics or analytics metric called DIGS, which was defense independent something game score.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And it was supposed to control for how good the defense is behind a pitcher and just grade the pitcher alone, because sometimes runs given up can be misleading. And so I broke it down on here. I said, according to DIGS, Notre Dame's pitchers are ranked here nationally. Texas Tech's are here nationally. And somebody on Red Raider Sports said, hey, the Gambling Gauchos were talking about how the pitching is, pretty comparable when you look at it. And this guy responded, he was like, this was after the games were over. He was like, well, I don't care what the Gambling Gauchos say. Notre Dame's pitching looked pretty damn good to me. I was like, okay, this wasn't the Gauchos saying that Notre Dame's pitching sucked. We're saying that per this one analytics model that is way smarter than you or I or this person typing this, that like here's where Notre Dame's pitchers stand up, here's where Texas Tech's pitchers stand up.
The games were 3-2 and 2-1. The pitching was comparable.
Well, we didn't say that Notre Dame's pitching was bad. Like this guy just wanted to be mad on the internet and has an anonymous username, all that, and like misunderstands that when a podcast host relays information from an analytics source, that it's not the podcast host proclaiming something. Like, we didn't get on here and say, Notre Dame's pitching is overrated, we're going to torch them. We said, hey, their ace is like the 7th best pitcher in the country. Their second guy is the 33rd best pitcher in the country.
Right.
Your 1 and 2 are right below those, respectively. And then 3 through 5 was pretty comparable.
Right, which is how it played out.
Yeah.
Except they got to pitch their ace twice against you.
Yeah. So anyway, I read that and I was like, okay, like you don't really understand much.
Did you
that's okay.
See, generally when people comment stuff like that on my personal stuff, like if I write an article and put it on Facebook, I just usually say thanks for reading.
Yeah.
You can get on there and say thanks for listening. Or are you anonymous on Red Raider Sports, or do you have a?
Yes and no. I've been doxxed on there.
People know. Oh.
So some people know who I am. I don't try to hide who I am, but
who doxed you?
Tech Hoops guy. Like accidentally. No, accidentally. So I wrote something on Staking the Plains.
Good thought, Kyle.
No, I wrote something on Staking the Plains, and he was like, and my username wrote on Staking the Plains and like links to it. And then he messages me like 3 days later on Twitter. He goes, oh shoot, I didn't realize that you were still anonymous on there. I was like, it's fine. I don't really post that much, and when I do, it's like nothing controversial.
Yeah. That's funny. I was never a message board guy. I never got into it.
There was a thread on.
I do love our Discord there.
When Big Game Boomer named us the best Texas Tech podcast, somebody shared that tweet in a thread and said, who has the best Texas Tech podcast? And there was kind of a mixed amount of love for. So Red Raider Sports has 2 podcasts, Tortillas and Takes, and From Here It's Potable.
Both good podcasts.
Like the running joke on From Here It's Potable is they record like once every 2 months.
Yeah, and they're the 37th best Texas Tech podcast.
Yeah, so like people were, bringing all that up, and then maybe toe in the corporate line. It was like, Tortillas and Takes is the best. I'm like, well, of course the staff here is going to say that, but anyway, I'm not saying they're not a good podcast, but it's like, if you ask my wife who the best Texas Tech podcast was, she'd be like, oh, the Gambling Gauchos. We got some love. Locked On Texas Tech got some love.
They're good.
Dinger Derby, 23 personnel. They said that those 2 were like really good for Tech baseball specifically. Obviously, Red Raider dugout. So anyway, what I liked about that thread is there was no like mudslinging. There was no like, I don't know. I feel like sometimes people get like territorial about that. Yeah. They're like, my podcast, the one that I listen to, is awesome, and all the other ones suck. And this one was like, hey, no, there's like 4 or 5 good podcasts out, and there are a ton of Texas Tech podcasts. So I was just glad that like people know who we are and that nobody was like, "What the hell is a gambling gaucho?" It's like, some of them are gonna like us, some of us are gonna hate us. That is what it is. But
Yeah,
anyway,
as Ric Flair says, some people like me more if you don't. I don't care.
I made another list on Twitter.
Yeah, you did.
Using my graphic design skills.
You're getting better. Getting better.
I thank you. And
every day.
I would be better already at stuff like that had I been able to go to a Code Ninjas summer camp when I was a little bit younger.
Yep.
I didn't have that opportunity, but the sons and daughters of our listeners certainly do. As you know, Rob, Code Ninjas teaches kids ages 5 to 14 how to level up their coding, STEM, and engineering skills in a fun, hands-on environment. So they've got year-round programs right now. They're promoting these summer camps. The kids are out of school. They need to stay busy, keep them learning, have them engaged in something that'll be useful when they go back to school or get their first job in a few years, something like that. These camps use technology that your kids already love, like Legos, Minecraft, and Roblox, to expand their skills, creativity, and confidence. Our listeners can use the promo code GAUCHOS, and they'll get $10 off any of the summer camps going on at the Code Ninjas Lubbock location. You can call them at 806-370-0022 or check out all of their great programs at codeninjas.com. Promo code GAUCHOS, $10 off. Speaking of Spencer from the 23 Personnel Podcast, I think he signed up one of his youngins for Code Ninjas. So it spreads. And seriously, I mean, I know summer camps, like I used to do a bunch of sports camps, YMCA, stuff like that. But, to keep the mind active, especially, I think things like this are so cool. So if the Gauchita was 5, I would sign her up. She's not quite there yet.
Not quite. Soon, though.
Someday she'll be a Code Ninja.
It's going to be happening fast, man.
Okay, so
singing Trace Adkins songs.
Yeah.
You're going to miss this.
Trace Adkins, yeah. Also,
you're going to want this back.
Yeah. There's also Tracy Lawrence, Time
You're
Marches
gonna wish
On.
This time hadn't gone by so fast.
Keep going.
No, that's it.
Okay. So I've seen these tweets going around, and I think the premise is kind of crap. I think people just make up. It's a list of like 25 places in the U.S. and somebody like studies show that the average American has only been to 7 of these 25 places, and I think that number is just completely made up. So what did I do?
Because if you've been to New York once, you've been to 7 of the places on this list.
Yeah.
So if you've been to New York, you're better than an average American.
You saying you're better than me?
How many people have been to New York? Yeah. I mean, you've been to New York.
I've not been to New York.
Oh, me neither. I figure you for a been to New York kind of guy.
I'm not a been to New York kind of guy.
You been to DC?
Yeah.
Okay. For work?
Yeah, because you know what I do.
You're like in high school. You're the vice president of city talking to other people.
City talking to other people.
Relations.
Okay, kind of close, not quite, but anyway, you and I put our.
Do you know what I do for a living?
Yeah, you're a big J Journo.
Yeah, no.
You and I put our big beautiful brains together and came up with 15 things that a Red Raider should do across West Texas. Most of these are in Lubbock. I'll just rattle them off real quick, but they're all over West Texas.
Yeah.
Saw the rodeo at the old ABC Coliseum. Been to Joyland. Drank at Chilton. Hiked in Palo Duro Canyon. Went to 4th on Broadway. Stayed at Chimmy's till midnight. Ate Spanky's fried cheese. Rushed the field at the Jones. Painted at Cadillac Ranch. Been to a concert at the USA. Had a schooner at Caprock. Sang at the Carol of Lights. Seen the Marfa Lights. Schooner. Been to Buddy Holly's grave and ate an all-subs burrito. I completely pulled this out of thin air and said that the average Red Raider has only done 7 of these 15.
Right.
And I think I was not far off because a lot of people have said been in that like 7 to 9 range.
Yeah.
And I tweeted that I'm at 11 or 12, depending on your interpretation of been to Joyland.
So you've never been to Joyland for fun. Is that what you're saying?
I've been there, not while it was open and like the gates were open to the public. I've just like been in like the parking lot at Joyland. Like I
For,
like I ran a 5K or a 10K and like Joyland was
oh,
on the
I
route.
gotcha.
It's like I've been there, but I haven't like
Gotcha.
I didn't ride the rides.
You need to. Well, I don't know that you need to ride the rides, but you need to go to Joyland and take it in.
Okay. How many
Did you
count?
go to rodeo? Yeah, let's go through. Did you go to rodeo and Coliseum?
Yes.
Me too. I've also been to monster truck shows and other events there at the Coliseum.
Yeah.
Joyland, check. Chilton, check. Yes.
Yep.
Paladuro, love it. You've
Yep.
been to Paladuro?
Yes, sir.
Camped or just hiked through? You ever spent the night?
Just hiked through.
Both fun. Fourth on Broadway?
Yes.
I've never done that. Not a parade guy.
So I've only been once, and it wasn't actually
Yeah.
for the parade segment. It was for the concert, and it
I
was
might go this year.
Idaloo's very own Josh Abbott back in 2015, I think.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chimmy's till midnight?
Yep.
No, I've never done that. Been to other places till midnight, but
Ew.
fried cheese, yes, of course.
Yep. Yep.
Rush the field?
Yep.
Never rushed the field. I've been at a bunch of wins, but never rushed the field. I'm more of a, hey, let's stay up here in section 108 and look down and see all the funds.
Yeah.
Painted a Cadillac Rouch yet? Yes, of course.
Yep.
It feels like you've done all of these. I've been to a concert at the USA.
Yep.
What'd you go to?
Garth Brooks most recently.
Nice.
And then I don't know if this counts. In college, George Strait was playing, and I was working the concession stand. So
Counts.
I heard the entire concert. I didn't see any of it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Creed, 2000.
Are you
Like the
serious?
first, yes, one of the first concerts
That's
in the
great.
history of the USA. Creed.
I would have
Yeah,
loved
it
to have
was
been
awesome.
there.
Scott Stapp ripped his pants on stage.
Scott steer up.
With all what world.
Hold me now.
Had a schooner at Capron. Yeah.
Of course.
Carol of the Lights.
Yep.
I don't know that I've sung, but I went to several of those when I was younger. Have you seen the Marfa Lights?
I haven't been to Marfa. I've not been to Marfa.
Now, there's another go see the lights place that I've done that's not the Marfa Lights. You go turn your headlights on, and then it's supposed to.
Terlingua?
No, it's near Stanford, like in the Aspermont region.
Yeah. I don't know.
But I don't remember where it is. I'll have to ask my friend that's from Aspermont. Buddy Holly's grave, yes. Do you know the first time I went to Buddy Holly's grave? I lived in Lubbock all my life. Driver's ed.
Really?
We drove the car through the cemetery.
Why?
I guess. I don't know. He was bored, I guess. And our driver's ed instructor just was like the dad joke guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll always remember the joke he told us at the cemetery. He's like, hey, you know why there's fences at the Lubbock Cemetery?
Because people are dying to get in.
People are dying to get in.
Classic.
And then obviously all subs burrito. That's a lock.
I have not eaten an all subs burrito.
What?
I'm not a big burrito guy, period.
That was like the easiest one on the list. I just had assumed. You've never eaten the fried burrito from.
Correct.
Wait, you're not a burrito guy, period?
Not really.
Like just burrito, like not fried chimichanga.
Yeah, so I'm not a big beans guy.
Okay.
No, I can do it. Like I like beans with barbecue a little better. But if I'm at a Mexican joint, I don't order the burrito. I get the enchiladas, something like that. Tacos. I wouldn't really opt for the burrito. But I understand that it's an experience and I need to do it someday. So yeah, the 2 or 3 that I haven't done is All Subs Burrito, Marfa Lights, and then Joyland, depending on how we're scoring that. So 12 or 13 for me.
I have, that's about what I am. Rush the Field,
Marfa?
Marfa, and the Chimmy's one.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
We're dangerously close to 6,969 followers on Twitter. What are you going to do for that?
Are we really going to
up some graphic?
Man, I could do one, but are we really going to do that? Are we 12 years old?
Yes.
Uh,
Maybe we just tweet nice on the day it happens and let people figure it out.
I'll say the problem is, good problem to have. We get, several followers every day. So like the tweet's going to be outdated within an hour.
And it would just be within, just you and I can just kind of have a laugh.
Well, okay.
And the people that listen to this podcast.
We'll screenshot and say like, we have a nice number of followers.
Or there you go.
All of our followers.
It's a nice number of followers. Yeah.
Okay.
Very nice.
We'll do something like very nice.
Here's a nice tweet to our followers.
Yeah. All right. Do we have anything else to cover? Did you want a preview on countdown to kickoff or future lists, anything like that?
Do you want to go over your future list? There's one that you have cooking that I quite enjoy. The home court advantage.
Oh, yes.
Is that coming out? Is that coming out this week?
Yeah, let's throw it up on Monday.
Okay.
Today, Sunday, is 76 days till kickoff. Kind of a loaded countdown. On some of these, it's a stretch to get one number that works. Shout out to Ricky Gann. On others, though, like I've got 3 lined up for 76. One of them is a Southwest Conference champion team, and 2 of them are All-Americans. So it's hard to pick just one.
Right.
So we've already tweeted Brandon Carter and the 1976 Southwest Conference champion team. And then the third one it'll go live tonight. I'll go ahead and send it right now, actually, Rob. Live on the episode.
Today is the first day that somebody sent in a request on the day of the 76.
Yeah. And can we do 4? Is that overkill? I don't know. I want to say another person has done the person he wanted. Does that make sense? Yes, I got you loud and clear.
We can retweet somebody else's.
Do you know our boy Gerald Price?
Gerald Price.
Gerald. Jerrell.
Does he have a brother named Daryl?
I don't know. Is Daryl from Brownfield?
Gerald Price is from Brownfield?
Yeah.
I think I do know him like on a personal level. Oh no. When was he around?
Early. He was an All-American in like the 50s, I think.
Oh, he wasn't like back to Brownfield.
No. He used to own the 50-yard line.
Daryl Price. Okay. Maybe that's what I remember the name from.
Who's Daryl Price?
He didn't go back to Brownfield. Daryl Price taught at LCU. But there's 2 different Daryl Prices. There's 2 different Daryl Prices. And then there's a Gerald Price. But
this is the worst segment in our podcast history.
Did he go back to Brownfield? Gerald Price sounds familiar. Because I grew up in Brownfield.
Okay, Gerald Price is a Brownfield, Texas native.
So he probably lived there in like the 40s, though.
There's some dispute, though. His obituary says he was the first All-American in Texas Tech history. And he was an All-American. But Herschel, is it Ramsey or Ramey from the 30s? I've seen him listed as an All-American, which would have preceded Gerald Price. He's in the Texas Tech Hall of Honor. Used to own the 50-yard line steakhouse a long time ago. That's all I know about Gerald Price. I don't know if he moved back to Brownfield. I don't know who Daryl Price is. I don't know why we've committed a whole segment on the podcast to Daryl Price.
You asked who Daryl Price was. I was ready to give it up.
Because you brought his name up like 20 times.
There's two Daryl Prices. One is the father-in-law of one of my good friends.
Is your friend like a grandson or granddaughter of Gerald Price of Brownfield,
No,
Texas?
I don't believe so.
He was a member of the Lubbock Chamber of Commerce and Lubbock Restaurant Association.
She might be a great niece.
Does she look like this guy?
A little bit.
Maybe it's them.
No, she doesn't.
Anyway, 76 days till kickoff was loaded. So we just did three tweets. Let me look at the list here to maybe give folks a sneak peek. Are we worried about plagiarism here, or?
No, you did get accused of plagiarism today, though.
Yeah, and
it's stupid.
I didn't create the meme, but I also wasn't trying to take credit for the meme. It was that picture of Mark Adams holding the baby from back during the season.
Yeah.
And the mistake I made was I failed to check every single Texas Tech account to see if somebody had made the same joke with the meme that wasn't created by either one of us.
Yeah.
And apparently, well, I don't know. I didn't get to check the timestamps because the other person deleted theirs.
His was earlier.
Okay. So we tweeted the same joke.
But we'll DM him and be like, hey, man, no hard feelings. My bad.
I've got documented proof of like accidentally.
We did not need to respond. We did not need to respond to that to that guy.
Yeah.
That blamed you.
Yeah. And
it was a very obvious joke that you made.
Look,
here's hilarious.
Here's the thing. If you're going to do basic copy pasta on Twitter, people are going to see that every day.
Yeah.
If you're putting memes out that say Austin Beckers can't be choosers with laser eyes, you're obviously not going for some kind of like mass appeal.
Yeah.
So anyway, stealing memes is lame. We've never intentionally done that. Coincidentally, people make the same jokes. Like when Chris Rock got slapped at the Oscars, we made the same joke as our friend Doe goes in, and I was like, shoot, I wasn't trying to steal your meme. I deleted ours. And that's the end of it. So stealing memes is lame. We don't do it. Getting accused of it is also lame. Especially if somebody like doesn't know us, doesn't follow us. It's like, dude, follow us on Twitter and see how many times you think we're stealing somebody's. Because there are people out there that are notorious for that. And we have never been accused of that before because we don't do that.
Breaking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was that too much?
No, you're good. The 90s on the countdown to kickoff, a lot of love for the defensive linemen, and 70s, a lot of love for the offensive linemen.
Yep.
I think the 60s and 50s will be too.
I'm trying to think of some 70s coming up. I want to say Louis Hernandez.
Louis Hernandez.
That's not his name.
Nope.
That's not his name.
Try again.
That's not his name.
Is he related to Daryl Price?
Shoot. No. What's that guy's name? Played for the Broncos. Guard.
There's Manuel Ramirez. And then there's
Ramirez.
And then there's Louis
Vasquez.
Yeah.
Yes.
What did you say, Louis Ramirez?
Hernandez.
Louis Hernandez. Yeah, okay. You didn't even get the last name.
Vasquez. That's what I meant.
Yeah. So
there's a photo in the Super Bowl where he is at the goal line pushing somebody in or something, and he's got his guns up.
Oh, that's cool. I don't think that's a picture.
I want to see if I can find that photo. What's a Broncos photo?
Yeah, I was gonna say I've got a picture of him at Tech.
Yeah, what was he at Tech? 70 something.
Let's see.
60. He might have been 67 for the Broncos.
Trying to pull up my list here.
Yeah, we don't need I don't know why we're doing this right now.
Yeah. Anyway, people see it when we tweet it. So Vasquez was 65, Ramirez was 63.
65, that's right.
So
we got a while.
If other podcaster accounts tweet those out, just our listeners know that we had it first.
Yeah, but don't tell them they're stealing. It's fine. We don't need to start beef with anyone.
Also, another random reply, not from one of our followers, and this is what chaps my heart. It's like, if you know us and you are familiar with this Twitter account, then like by all means, give us some feedback. But like,
Right.
so I tweeted that 77 days to kick off, NCAA record 77 punts versus Centenary. And he was like,
Right.
he goes, not something to be proud of. And I was like, what do you mean by that? Because if you know the history of that game, you know that they were punting on first down just so that they
Right.
didn't fumble on offense because it was the middle of a tsunami.
Right.
And then he
There's
was like
2 feet of water on the field.
yeah, he's like, well, that means you couldn't move the ball on offense. And I was like, okay, here's the Wikipedia link where you can educate yourself. Nobody was trying to move the ball because it was impossible. So they just punted so that the other team would muff the punt, which actually kind of worked. And it's just a historical tidbit. I'm not like pounding my chest like, oh yeah, we're number 1 in punts. It's just like a unique game in Texas Tech history. But anyway, people just want to get mad online, dude. Oh, the Gauchos think Notre Dame can't pitch. Not something to be proud of that you punted 77 times. Way to steal that meme. It's like, God, cool it. Jeez.
Also, when you tweet 1,000 times a month, people are going to be mad at stuff.
Right. Yeah, it's a volume game. So yeah, there's some stuff coming up in the 70s.
But bring it on. We like the responses. Bring it up.
One that I'm curious to see how it goes over when I tweet it out is 72. So keep an eye out for that one.
Is that
it's unique. It's not
Jared
a player.
Castor?
No, it's not a player. It's a historical tidbit. And
72?
I'm not sure if people are going to be proud of it or ashamed of it, but something to just keep your antenna up for 72.
72 people? 72 what?
Well, we'll see.
Okay. So today was 76?
I'll tell you offline. Okay. Yeah, today was 76. Yeah, then we'll have some lists, some Big 12 rankings and things like that. So
yeah, the home court advantage one, it is going to be big. You'll get some feedback on that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't plan this, but timing that the day after UT season ended in Omaha is great because they can't even like, oh, you guys are tweeting lists. We're playing in Omaha. They can't even play that card now. They're stuck with these lists until they're ready to underwhelm in football season. So anyway, looking forward to that because they would actually have a good argument if they were like, hey, we're about to play for a national championship in baseball, and all y'all are still talking about basketball.
You're making lists,
like, okay, that's fair. But now they don't have anything in baseball either, just like us. So NT-ways. That's all I got, man.
That's all I got, man.
Sorry you have so much editing to do on this one.
It's all right. You got a Western you want to put in?
Oh, no, but I totally blanked on this when we were talking about Matt Damon and the True Grit remake. I forgot he was in that movie.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure you were, LaBeef. And I was like thinking back, I was like, wow, that movie was so good despite Matt Damon being in it that I had completely
you can't
forgotten
leave
about
until it's Matt Damon the whole time.
Yeah.
Like anyway. He's so different than generally what he is.
I'm going to watch another Western this week, though, so I can give a promo.
You want one? You want one?
Mm-hmm.
Shanghai Noon.
Shanghai Noon.
Jackie Chan, Owen Wilson, Walter Goggins.
Okay. Can I say another thing just completely unrelated to anything we've talked about to this point?
We usually do.
You and I, my friend, in our all red and our Cardinals caps, looking pretty sharp. Didn't plan that, but I like the all red look here.
It's the Mahomes jersey.
Yeah, Mahomes right now and Zach Thomas locked in a battle for greatest Red Raider of all time. So check that out and vote if you haven't already. And remember, its entire career.
But it's recency bias that's
not just
Tombstone pop figures.
Is that a little gaucho up there?
It's Doc Holliday.
Okay. Tombstone.
And Razor Ramon.
All right. Yeah, I love that. Oh, he's even got like the pink around the eyes.
Yeah.
It's pretty detailed.
It really is.
All right. See you in the middle of the week.
See you, man.
All right.
Boom. Love y'all.
Subscribe on Patreon.
Scooped you.
Love y'all.
I already said it.